Hi, this is how to play Tensor, a game of equilibrium. Tensor is an abstract but thematic tile-laying game with a unique equilibrium mechanic focused on keeping your board in balance. Tensor is for 1 to 4 players and averages about 20 minutes per player. In the game, you play skilled research teams competing to build the best artificial intelligence. All of the actions in the game are inspired by deep learning techniques used when building real-life AIs. Please note that all art and graphics are just prototypes. The game is centered around 5 types of hexagonal tiles, which represent data that your AI learns from. Each tile is a different type or source of data. Tiles enter the game face up and may later be flipped face down. To explain Tensor, let's start with the confidence board. Each player receives a confidence board which represents how intelligent your AI is. The higher up the board you go, the smarter it becomes, and the more benefits you get in the game. On the board are 5 weights, each corresponding to a type of tile in the game. During the game, these weights will move up and down. The highest current weight on the confidence board determines your benefits, such as increased storage on your board for tiles or increased income at the end of each round. The lowest weight, however, is your final score. At the end of the game, all players' lowest weights are compared, and the player with the highest of those wins. So how are weights moved up and down? Each player also gets a player board, which represents your AI's brain or neural network. At the top of the board are 4 spaces for storing tiles. At the bottom of the player board, you track your resources, called GPU cycles. During setup, a number of each type of tile is placed in a bag and shuffled. Tiles are drawn from the draw bag and placed on a central action board. The bag acts as a countdown clock, so when the last tile in the bag is drawn, the game immediately ends. On the central board, there are also 4 operation cards, which will let you manipulate the tiles on your board. There are 4 primary actions in the game. The first action is download data. A player pays the cost, then takes the number of tiles needed to fill their current storage space. Then other players may take 1 tile as well. Tiles taken from the action board are placed in a player's storage on their board. The second action lets players place downloaded data into their AI's brain for processing. This action relies on a player's Tensor card, which limits where tiles can be placed by forcing adjacency requirements. Each player receives 1 of these during setup, and it stays with them during the entire game, and each one is unique, limiting where a particular tile can be placed. In some cases, after a player places a tile, they may also receive a manual tweak. They may choose any weight token on their confidence board and move it up 1 space, representing looking inside the code of your AI's brain and making small adjustments to improve its behavior. Laying tiles that connect certain hexes let you take special benefits if you meet the path requirements. And that can produce big turns. The third action is running a tensor operation. You do this by taking a card from the central action board. Each card lets you carry out special rule-breaking actions on your player board as well as carry out manual tweaks. Once you take a card, it's unavailable to other players for as long as you want to keep it, but you can't take another card until you return the one you have. The last primary action is the ethical hack action, where you hack other players' boards. To show how to do this, let's look at the game on the table. Here's Tensor in Tabletop Simulator. To take an ethical hack action, the player pays the cost and must have an operation card. They then return that operation card to the central board, making it available for all other players again. Then they can choose 1 tile from another player's storage and place it in their storage. The hacked player receives 1 GPU cycle in compensation. Players continue taking these 4 actions until they all pass and the round ends. At the end of each round, backpropagation is carried out. This is inspired by a real-life process of the same name in which an AI learns and adjusts its own brain based on what it is learning. Tiles move up or down depending on the number of face-up tiles on the board. And the types of tiles that moved up are flipped over. Then a new round begins. Rounds continue until the last tile is drawn from the bag, then all players get 1 more turn, plus they can use their in-game bonus card for more manual tweaks at the very end of the game. Player confidence boards are then compared. The lowest weights are compared, and if tied, the next lowest weights until a winner is determined. And that's it, that's Tensor. Tensor also comes with an easy-to-run, low-maintenance solo mode. The solo opponent only has a confidence board, so there's no AI player board to manage. Actions are determined by a small deck of solo cards, which are quick to learn and play. And that's Tensor. Tensor provides a unique puzzle, player interaction, and requires both strategy and tactics. Thanks for looking at Tensor.